Hello and welcome to the Logistics Business Virtual Show. I'm Paul Hamblin, I'm editor of Logistics Business Magazine. And as part of the show, we are running a series of expert panels with global experts from around the logistics industry, talking about important areas of development, innovation, and the most relevant sectors of the post-pandemic age in logistics. And this panel, I'm delighted to say, we have panelists from Europe and China and the UK, and our theme is Intralogistics projects and innovations. So what I suggest is that we ask all the panelists to introduce themselves very briefly, then we'll move into our main content. If you have questions for our panelists, please do use the chat facility, and our panelists will endeavour to answer those during the recording, or we will get back to you after the recording if that is not possible. So let's steam in, shall we? Let's start with you, Ruud. Would you like to just quickly introduce yourself and what you do?
Yeah, thank you, Paul. My name is Ruud Hendricks. I'm Sales and Marketing Director of PC Data for 20 plus years now. So that's also the time I'm in the industry. PC Data is PC Data's core business is pick and put the lights technology. That's our specialty. But we also supply, we do that more and more, total solutions. Let's say we do the total system integration job, but pick the light should always be part of that. So if you need a system integration project with pick or put the light as part of it, we are an expert in that.
Thank you. Hilton?
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for the invitation, and hello to your audience. So yes, I'm Hilton Campbell, and I'm the Managing Director for Intralogistics Limited, and I'm responsible for the United Kingdom and for Ireland. Intralogistics, I hope some of you would have heard of us, but we are an international global player, and we are a supplier of core products for materials handling solutions. And we've been going for 63 years, and we are located on every continent and employ something like 2,300 employees. And I'm really happy to be here, and I hope I can contribute to an insightful conversation on these exciting topics we have.
Thank you, Hilton. And William, who joins us from Shanghai. William.
Yes, thanks, Paul. This is William Lee from High Robotics. I'm a sales director for the European market from High Robotics. High Robotics offer goods-to-person solutions with robotics. So we are at this moment a really new company, but we focus on the shuttle robotics solutions, focus on the totes and the cartons picking solutions for more than 3 years. And at this moment, we have a lot of projects going on in Europe and the USA as well. Thanks a lot for the interaction, and we will discuss more later. Thanks.
Thank you. And I should say that George, unfortunately, George has got problems with his video, but I'm delighted to say we can hear him. So George, tell us about what you do.
Okay, good morning, Paul. Good morning, everyone. So I'm George Lin from Demong, China. I'm VP of the position, and I'm responsible for the international business. And yeah, for Demong is a 24 years old company, which mainly provide the key component like rollers, and also we provide the conveyor and sorter equipment, as well as the system solutions based on these equipment. So we start from China, but now become more and more global business operation. And we now have 4 manufacturer bases and other 7 sales service office outside China, and in which one of them factory and sales team is located in Romania, mainly serves for European market. And
okay,
we have
we'll come back to that, George. We'll give a bit more detail later on. Let's come back on to the themes of the technologies that we have in intralogistics. And I think I'll tell you what is represented strongly on this panel is conveying. So let's talk a bit about conveying and picking technology. But maybe start with you, Hilton. Tell us about the types of conveying technology that are available and how they make a difference to customers.
Yeah, so I think we will all agree, everybody on the panel, that the conveyor technology has been around for a heck of a long time, and I think it's still going to be around for a long time to come. Obviously, there's quite a lot of disruptive technology that's coming along, and from an Intral's perspective, we see this technology complementary to the traditional conveyor that we have. But it's by no means stagnant technology from a conveyor technology perspective. For Intral, I think I know, we are investing a lot in the technology around conveyor, around smart products with Industry 4.0, with products that are connected to the internet. We have products that go inside conveyors, which allows for higher speed of transportation. We have products inside conveyors for predictive maintenance and diagnostics, where we're getting feedback from how the conveyor is performing. So, you know, it's really running at a heck of a pace, just the conveyors. So you'll see conveyors 30 years old, still turning, moving boxes, and maybe not here in the UK, but in some of the developing markets, like in South Africa, there's old conveyors down there. But you will see in the modern technology today, still conveyors made from rollers, but faster, smarter, quieter, and of course, a lot more energy efficient as well.
Yeah, we're going to come on to that later if we may, but just to come back to one point you made about the smart technology connected to the internet, how does that, what does that bring to the customer, that this extra smart technology with conveying?
If I put myself in the shoes of a customer, since all the solutions that our companies offer really are the heart of the system, I think uptime performance is optimal. When you are able to get feedback from the system and it comes through the LAN or through even the WAN, you know, the wide access network or the local access network, the information we are bringing back, which is connected to this internet, is via the performance of the product. How hot the rollers are running, how long they've been running, what is the health of the system. So a customer's advantage of this is they get the ability to get predictive maintenance, and of course that will avoid critical failure. And when our products fail, all our products fail, that's catastrophic, and you need to be able to respond very quickly to that.
Thank you. George, let's talk a bit about sorting. Tell us a bit about the types of sorter systems that customers maybe find available.
Yeah, it depends on customer requirement about the items to be handled. Then also with the volume, and normally we have several sorters can be selected, like sorter modules, which like the swivelable wheel, and also like the shoe sorters, linear sorters, and also like cross belt sorters, and other Bombay or different kind of sorter technologies. And,
so George, what would I use a cross belt sorter for, and what would I use a shoe sorter for?
Yeah, a cross belt normally we used for the parcel sorting. Normally, it's the required is most focused on the many existing or many destinations, and also the sorter volume is very high. This is a typical scenario. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. William, I believe that robotic picking is something that your company specializes in. Can you tell us about what benefits that brings to customers and what the advantages of your technology?
Yes, the High Robotics offer goods-to-person solutions. It's kind of a new innovation in this area, because you know, COVID-19 has made a big impact to the world, and a lot of business change from to B to C. For that reason, robotics will solve such goods-to-person solutions in the warehouse and try to match that for the end customer's needs, special for a lot of retailers and the clothing company. So robotics can help this company to change the process about the warehouse, make it much more easily to picking up the pieces and the small items from the totes. And based on the totes we have, so High Robotics offer this kind of goods-to-person solutions in the warehouse, and that will save a lot of business cost in the warehouse and make it much more efficiency. And it's also, it's also getting less, reduced the amount of person who work in the warehouse when they're doing the picking. And for that reason, it will be much more reasonable solutions for the end user, especially for the UK market as well. And we are doing that. It's a kind of new technology. We are doing that very well in Chinese market. And nowadays we try to make this innovation solutions to help with the picking process with our new picking technology. Thanks.
And is it picking technology? Is it AMR robots, or are we talking about picking arms?
We're talking about ACR. So we're talking about cartons picking and toast picking. So AMR is older solutions in this goods-to-person solutions. And our ACR is new solution, which is basic on the totes and the cartons. That's well, you can think about older fashion is the mini node and the shuttle systems in the warehouse. But nowadays, to use robotics, it could be much more flexible. And also it could be easy to be bigger and a small warehouse. And for small warehouse, it's also make us that use robotics will make that much more possibility to getting automation in the future as well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Coming on to yourself, Ruud. I know you're a specialist in pick-to-light technology. Can you give us an explanation of what pick-to-light technology is, where it's headed, and why it's so useful in today's operations?
Yeah, sure. Well, pick-to-light technology is doing the picking with the help of displays with lights, which is lighting up and directing the orders the products you need to pick for a specific order. You have that in several solutions, in where you can pick, or in which you can sort, also called sort to light or put to light. But actually, your paper lists are away, and the displays, the lights, are helping you with doing the picking. There are more paperless solutions like voice picking, where you do the picking with the help of sound and voice. Or let's say RF picking, where you use terminals and barcode scanning and so on. But in given circumstances, and particularly if you have to do a lot of picks on a small surface, then pick-to-light has been proven the most productive picking solution, picking technology, and that's because of it has to do with your senses. In seeing something, you act way faster on that instead of hearing something. You have your hands free, you see where you have to do a pick, you're doing the pick, and at the same time you see already where the next pick is, and that makes it. We worked on studies with that with universities, and that showed that actually pick-to-light is the most proven solution for that. With today's business, and I'm particular pointing out then to e-commerce business, which is growing very fast, you see a lot of unit picking, and in case you still want to have humans doing the picking, and you want to help them with the technology, this pick-to-light technology is like I said, the most productive one. So in nowadays the unit picking because of e-commerce is growing and growing more and more. We have very good solutions for solving that with pick-to-light solutions.
And is there any specific sector that pick-to-light is? You mentioned e-commerce, but which sectors does it really suit?
It suits with let's call it smaller products. A smaller product, most of the time also expensive products, because that are the products which are not picked on full pallets or full cases, but that's going in unit product. In unit picking, I mean. So you're talking about electronics, cosmetics, and all kind of stuff. Besides that, also those kind of products which are sold via e-commerce, because that also increases the number of unit picking. And besides that, also fresh products. And then many times you are talking also about food products, because of the freshness. It also needs to be delivered to clients. It could be with food boxes to people at home, or it could be to food stores, to retail stores. And then also, it needs to be supplied on unit level because it's fresh. And every day you have a new delivery. You cannot deliver that just in full boxes or full pallets.
I mean, what's come across from hearing our experts is the enormous variety of solutions that are available, versatility, bespoke solutions. Let's say I'm a customer looking to overhaul my intralogistics. I know I need to modernize and optimize my intralogistics operations. What questions should I ask myself? I'd like all of you to answer this, but maybe if I start with Hilton. If Hilton can hear.
Yeah, I pushed the wrong button.
Did you hear that, Hilton? Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear that, Joe. I believe if somebody is wanting to overhaul their logistics center, it's critically important that you do a tremendous amount of homework in understanding all the different options of different technologies that is available there, because one solution doesn't fit every solution, and all our companies are offering different types of solutions. I think if I was looking to overhaul, I think the best thing a customer can do is definitely visit best practices to see what's being deployed in different distribution centers. I believe that's absolutely critical. I think it's if you look at the different technology, it's all about your short and medium-term distribution strategy. If you're in a fulfillment center, that's pretty obvious. It's all about speed and accuracy. If you're in a typical warehouse, it's about optimizing space more so. You have a bit more time inside a warehouse than you do then inside a fulfillment center. And the different technologies are offering all different benefits around speed and accuracy. Studying, we often find that when we engage with some customers and understand their pain and where they're suffering and where they are not efficient, and we ask some critical questions, I'm still quite surprised some companies still don't understand their raw data. So it really starts with the data that they supply to you, that if this data is up to date, correct, because rubbish in, rubbish out. And if integrators or product suppliers and solution suppliers like ourselves and Damon and others, if we don't get the right data in the beginning, you're not going to be able to offer the right advice. So do your homework well, know your business, your data, think about where you want to be in a medium, long term, look for best practices, and choose the technology. Finally, I would think choose the technology which you know is going to stand the test of time, because this is a significant investment. There has to be a payback model behind it, and cost of ownership is all important now. So understand, are the suppliers going to be there tomorrow, 10 years, 15 years time? And what would also it cost to keep that system running optimally?
Great answer. Thank you. George, let me come to you with that same question. We've heard about data. What else do customers need to ask themselves? It's for George.
I think George is on mute.
Yeah. Let me come to you, William, then, and we'll get George back in a minute.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, from my view, I agree from Hilton that data is very important. On the other hand, since COVID-19 is getting to the world, so the business side is changing quickly, or it's somehow unpredictable. So from our view, we sometimes think about the business of the customer will be changed. So because their customer is changing, so for that reason, a lot of things being unpredictable and unscalable. So that's why we are focused on the robotic solution, because it could be help the customer to make it much more flexible in their warehouse, in their business. Because the old-fashioned, or you can say the older intralogistic solutions is much more big size, and robotics could be focused on the small one, begin with the small project, then getting bigger and somehow. So for that reason, we are also talking with customers, well, what kind of things, what could be happens in the next couple of years, how could COVID-19 hurt their business, and as well be changes their business model as well. For the payback model, for that reason, somehow they tend to want to big investor. And so for that reason, we can begin with some small investor with kind of robotics and picking solutions. And in the future, if they could grow in with these solutions, so our high robotic solution could be much more flexible for that reason. And that's why nowadays the robotic solution is getting much more popular, because for the business is getting step by step, and you don't know how that could be happens in the next 5 years, but you can see it's changing in the coming years. So for that reason, this customer needed to understand much more better about their customers, how they're going to be happens in the coming days. So that could be some discussion and with them to see how that happens for the next steps. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Ruud, let me come to you on that question.
Well, actually, all my answers are already stolen by others. I agree completely with what Hilton said with the data accuracy and speed. A good business case, ROI, that's very important. And I wanted to add to that flexibility, which William was just doing, which is, I think, very, very, very important. You know, the world is changing very fast, and you can make a state-of-the-art system for today, but 6 months from now, it can be totally different because of the speed of internet and how things are changing. So that's very important that you have a solution which is flexible to adapt to that.
Sure. Now, I think also with PC data, you were saying to me earlier that, you know, customers are increasingly asking for you to provide a wider, you know, footprint of solutions across the piece, as it were. Can you talk a bit about that? So you're going beyond that pick-to-light specialism and you're doing more things. Yeah,
we are pick-to-light specialist and supplying those solutions already for many years all over the world, all continents. But we see more and more that customers are asking us for the total solution. You know, they just want to speak to one company instead of one company for pick-to-light and another for the conveyors and another for the racking and so on. So they want to do a one-stop shop and look to us as a system integrator. That's something we already do for many years. You know, we do system integration jobs for 15 to 20 years already. But the number of system integration jobs compared to the purely pick-to-light projects is increasing. So that means that clients are asking more and more to us to supply the total solution.
And are these new projects or are they retrofit projects or both?
Both actually, both. Yeah, kind of projects we are seeing is new clients asking us to deliver the total solution. Sometimes it are existing clients upgrading their solution to additional technology.
Right. Hilton, coming back to you, how does Interroll go to market? How do you deal with customers?
Okay, so our route to market is we are a sub-supplier and we supply our products and our solutions to system integrators. So Intralogistics worldwide does not position themselves as a system integrator, but rather as a product supplier around the solutions which complements the system integrators. So, and it's always been our route to market since our inception. Of course, there are times we are, of course, dealing with end customers, and that's predominantly for after sales and support. So a big part of our business is also spares and service and some retrofit projects, which is after sales. Yes, in those cases, we are then engaging directly with end customers, but our route to market is very much through the system integrators.
Okay, and what about William? What about High Robotics? As I say, your company's a new name, I think, to most of Europe. So how are you going to be reaching the market?
Yeah, nowadays we're getting already success in Chinese market, so we are moving to Europe market. In the Europe market, there's a lot of big integrator and some local partners as well. So we have two channels. One is talking directly to the end customers, some Chinese customers, and also we just announced in early this week. We work together with Savaio, which is a France integrator in France market, and also they also doing project in Europe market. So say this kind of we can work with this kind of integrator because High Robotics of this solution is much more small area, especially in the integration area. So, but it's a kind of new and very popular, getting more popular and welcome in the market. So this big integrator are very glad to work with us as a part of total solution, and this could be help them to getting their customer much more happy with their business changes. So High Robotics from China is a much more new technology, but since the Chinese market is moving faster, make us much more success and understand of the needs of the customer. And the integrator could be also happy with us with this kind of cooperation. And with the integrators, they have a lot of local service which is could be support our business and our customers in the end. Such help each other to add value for the market value as well. That's how we look at this market. We
okay.
It's could be kind of couple steps later with different kind of market in Europe and also for global market as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. George, are you back with us?
Yeah, so for Demon, basically we have three kind of business. One is the key component like rollers or conveyor rollers. So we sell to the conveyor manufacturer. Then the second is we have the conveyor and sorter product. And for this equipment, we sell to the end user, also to the integrator. And also we provide the total solution for the project sales to the end customer as well. Yeah, this is our main business model. Yeah.
Which is the largest part of your business? Which is the bit you focus on?
Biggest part is the system integration for the conveyor and sorter solutions.
Okay, right. Let's move on to, it's an important word nowadays: sustainability, carbon footprint, net zero. Governments are getting behind this. We know it's something that big companies are going to have to think about, their emissions. And I think in warehouses, intralogistics technology has a role to play in that. Let's maybe come back to you, Hilton. Tell us about how, you mentioned it earlier in your introduction, how is conveying technology able to save energy and help with carbon emissions?
So whenever we innovate and bring a innovation or evolution product to the market, energy saving is right at the very high top of our list of where we need to be very focused on. So just last year, Intral launched a 48-volt powered rotor drive, which traditionally is still available in 24 volts. So we're now developing powered rotors with 48 volts, which of course this enables us to offer a product which reduces the amount of power that is needed to generate the same amount of mechanical wattage. So you're able to transport heavy loads at high speeds with less amperage. Of course, this reduces the power consumption on your on your complete system. And what I think is also very important, and this is really the standard of today in modern warehouses, is that most systems are only working on demand. So the technology that we offer and others offer as well, but it only operates when it's told to operate. There are conveyor technologies, and it's a nice bridge with the question you had earlier on. Some of the old technologies, the conveyor is running and running and running. There's no boxes to move, no pallets to move, nothing's happening, but the conveyors are running. The modern systems today, they're completely static, they stand still. And only when the product is presented does it perform what it's programmed to do. So even if it's moving boxes over kilometers or hundreds of meters, these boxes will move only when it's at that particular location. And when it's not there, it stops. And when it's not running, you're not consuming any energy. You're not using up the lifespan of the product. You're reducing the noise in the entire environment. So there's a huge advantage over this type of technology. So, and we brought a product which some might be familiar about. It's a synchronous motor, which basically means it's a very high efficient motor, very powerful, very fast, very cool running, but it uses a lot less energy. So yeah, so even in my own company, we've got major initiatives to reduce our paper consumption, our electricity consumption, and I'm sure my colleagues here on the panel are doing the same. So we're using a hub, we're flying less. So we live this. We live, reducing our carbon footprint in what we do in-house, also what we offer to our customers.
Thank you for that. Ruud, let me come to you. I'm interested to think how pick-to-light technology can contribute. Maybe it can, maybe it can't. And to tell us about that, but then also maybe your wider integration operations that you do, where you think sustainability wins are available.
Well, that's if you stay on the pick-to-light part, it's a paperless picking technology. So that's saying the word by itself, paperless. Hilton was also referring to that. So saving some trees, I hope, from that perspective. And of course, the electronics itself, we are, it's in general in light electronics, have less and less power consumption. And of course, also our pick-to-light technology, we have a focus also to use as less as possible power, while blinking the lights as good as possible. So I think we're quite successful in that. Also, if I hear some feedback from the market on other companies comparing our pick-to-light technology, they're sometimes surprised by the low power consumption.
Okay, thank you. William, tell us about sustainability with High Robotics.
Yes, let's say our robotics can make that system much more, make the warehouse system much more efficiency. So for that reason, firstly, somehow in the old traditional warehouse, there could be around 2 shifts, work around 40 or 60 hours per day. And for High Robotics, we can speed up the process. So which means it could be save the time to half, which warehouse will only work needed to be 8 to 10 hours instead of 16 and 80 hours for the warehouse. It's going to be save the time of the workers and also save the total of the warehouse operation time. And that's one first point. Secondly, the traditional investor for the Intralogistics, that will be a big investor, and that will be a lot of equipment and also cost. And somehow the robotics can easily to replace this kind of solution and make it much more efficient as well. So instead of big investor for the system, we can use the robotics to do that as well. For that reason, it also can save a lot of energy and invest and also equipment. That could be some second point from our view. That's how we work on these topics to the system. Thanks.
It's certainly seen as a valuable and important characteristic then. George, what about sustainability with Damon?
Yeah, Damon, when we provide the solutions to the customer, we applied for the conveyor and sorters, we applied many DC powered conveyors to the customer, which can save a lot of energy. And also we applied the linear synchronized motor in the sorter drive. So this is also save a lot of power to the operation. So this is what we have done for the technologies to our customer for this energy saving. Okay,
thank you. All of you have talked about that the customers need to think long term. You know, that when you're optimizing your intralogistics, it's a long term thing. So in the light of that, with thinking ahead 10, 15 years, what technologies are coming down the track that may not even be in use yet, but that we will need to start preparing for, which can improve our operations? So shall I come back to you on that one first, Hilton?
Well, that's not such an easy question.
No, absolutely.
We have a 7-year innovation roadmap, which is quite specific for Intro around products, and it's around energy efficiency. So we are looking at of ways in which we can even make a induction motor or linear motor, as George mentioned, even more efficient. We've got some products on our roadmap for that. If you had to ask me, I think this merging of software and hardware is going to become the big driver of the future, you know, and we touched on it at the early part. Companies that are innovating in products have to think more about the software and how smart they are becoming. And I think we will see a future where machine learning is going to be possible, machine-to-machine communication inside warehouses. This is happening in the automotive industry anyhow. I think cars are communicating, which, you know, if your windscreen wipers are switched on 3 miles down the motorway and you've got your cars connected, it gives you a warning, you know, rain is ahead. You know, something like that will happen similar inside. There's a wave of production downstream, then it'll make a demand upstream to change the behavior. So I think it's going to be very much data and algorithm and software driven, and bringing the mechanical and the electrical and the software together is what the future is, I think, mostly exciting about. I don't know if that answered you.
No, Hilton, I was going to say, Hilton, you got the hospital pass there, being asked that one first, but you did a great job, thank you. So the other guys have had a chance to think about it now. So let me come to you, Ruud.
If I look to picking technology, then and William probably can confirm that, then robotics would be a next step, of course. We are actually also supplying robotic picking solutions. We do that in the food industry, where they handle, let's say, the food baskets and trays, food totes. But the technology is evolving, and also unit picking will be done more and more by robotics. William was explaining that before, and we've seen more and more solutions like that in today, and probably also in the future. It always has to be seen also in combination with peak capacities. We, in particular, in fresh food and in e-commerce, we have to. Our clients are always working with peaks, you know, but let's say in two ways the peak can be a problem. You know, one is if you want to deal the peaks with mechanics, with robotics, you know, then robotic is working during a small part of the day during the peak time, but for the rest of the day you cannot use it. At the same time, also with getting right employees in, getting right people in, you know, if you just have to do that for a peak, that also can be a problem. So I think that will be one of the challenges of the future and how the market is developing.
Yeah, okay, thank you for that, Ruud. William, what would you add to that?
Yes, I think that the big things changes about end customers. So usually the process integration, the end customer could be the shops, could be warehouse, or could be some small supermarket, these kind of end customers. But nowadays the end customer is much more 2C. So it could be one customers, could be you, could be me. Think about you can use your mobile to click on the website and choose the items you wanted. And then the warehouse will deliver to you in 2 or 3 days. So that is the changing at this moment in the market, especially in the ASEAN market. So I think nowadays it's also be changed to the European market and the USA market, because the customer willing to do not getting out of house and try to pick up by the door. So nowadays the picking process will be much more important for the end users. And so for that reason, the robotics can help with that. I agree with Ruud that the potentialities of one of kind of a solution will be also kind of solution could be integrated with robotics solutions as well, because small package, small items will be picked and will be delivered to end user. So for that reason, that's kind of scenario the old traditional equipment cannot solve. So what I understand, and on the other hand, the business is also changed quickly. So robotics is much more flexible to get into this kind of warehouse solutions. So that will be help the end user, I mean the warehouse customer, to be much more flexible when they're doing some investor, because they are worried about if they invest a big money and in the end there's nothing come back. So as Hilton said, so they are thinking about payback. So that is also very important point for the investors. So for that reason, I think nowadays everything will be changed faster and will be much more flexible and intelligent for the system. That's also make some requirements to the software as well. But we need to think about end-to-end solutions. So we are talking about end user who pick up the items.
Right.
Thanks.
Thank you for that, William. And George, what would be your view?
Yeah, I will talk about the robotic picking. So this is kind of applied for the piece picking mainly. So nowadays we can see for the robotic picking, it will go to more and more smart for the piece picking. For example, so like with the camera identify system, the item can be random anywhere in the tote or in the carton. So the robotic will calculate, the system will calculate the angle or where should to pick to the item. So this is a very smart technology, and I will see the picking efficiency will be very high for the small piece items. And even for the special designed grippers, it's more like a human hand. It can grasp every small items like a small box or even soft package. So this is, I would say, it's a future trend for the small piece picking.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to draw to a close really by giving you all the opportunity to talk about a use case, a customer use case where your products have made a difference to that customer. So that would also furnish our viewers with the opportunity to see how your products can make a difference and how they can improve their own operations. So chance to just promote yourselves really. So who wants to go first on that?
I'll continue going first.
I can rely on you, Hilton. Yeah.
So I think a nice, I think I'll speak to your audience now, maybe, which is not these big mega warehouses or the Amazons of the world, because I think there are small, medium, and large players.
Yeah.
I think us as suppliers have to be able to complement all these different customers, and I'm proud for Intralogistics that we deal with the big, the medium, and even the small companies. So I'll speak now to the medium-sized companies. So we were given an opportunity to look at a greenfields site for a leading engineering distributor of small parts. I think I can share the name. It's Eric's, and we were introduced to this opportunity with a lean lift manufacturer called Industore. So this is also a very interesting technology for picking. Rudy, you might know this technology as well. Lifts, vertical lift storage, vertical storage units. And so we worked together with this company that does the lifts in the store. We had the end user, and of course, Intralogistics was there to provide the advice and the solution around the conveyor technology. And I think one of your first questions, Paul, was around sorter technology. Which sorter technology suits applications the best? And George commented on that. And yes, there's sorters that can do 2,000 parcels per hour. There's sorters that can do, one of our sorters can go up to 20,000 parcels per hour. But we engaged with this customer, we understood the data, but what we quickly realized is that we needed a software complementary to the whole idea to make this all work together. And then we worked with a company called Invar Logistics, or Invar Integration, sorry. So what's my story to your audience is that no matter how big or small they are, there are companies that offer best practices, pick by light, software, robots. And I think there's a big advantage to bring these companies together almost as not a consortium, and they can deliver to the customers a really well thought out solution which uses the best technology from the different suppliers. And I believe that's where Intralogistics is quite strong. We are quite well connected worldwide with big and small companies who supply some very fancy and reliable hardware. And you bring this together to deliver a solution like we did with Eric's, with Industore and Invar Integration. That excites me, and that excites me sometimes more than these big mega warehouses. Yeah. That are not exciting, but that's really what excites me. And that's where I'd like to see Intralogistics participate a lot in as well.
Great story, Hilton. Thank you. George, what about yourself?
Okay, so Demo is very strong at the customer, like the e-commerce. So I will share one project which we deliver to the Korea e-commerce customer. So in one of their fulfillment centers, so we supplied the conveyor and sorter system, mainly composed of a multi-SKU ribbon packing line and a single SKU packing line, and also with the empty tote return line, and also the package induction, and with the downstream linear cross-belt sorter. So this is kind of typical outbound solutions for the customer. And for the packing line and the return line, mainly deal with the totes, and the package line and the cross-belt will treat the cartons and the soft packages like poly bags. So the total conveyor line is about 2 kilometers long, and the throughput of the shipping sorter will reach to 7,000 items per hour. So Demong China provide all the conveyors and the linear cross-belt sorter system, and with the controls from China to the Korea site. Then we arrange the project management and also the site installation supervised team to the site, and also with the commissioning engineers. Also, we worked with the local partner to do the mechanical and electrical installation, and they also provide the WCS portion. Now the system is go live already, and the total period of this contract execution from order release to project handover was only 5 months. Yes, so this is what I want to share.
Thank you, George. William?
Yes. From my side, I would like to share a reference case in UK. So this case is already go live, and the square meters is around 12,000 square meters. And in that project, we have 60 ACR robotics in this project. And we speed up the picking process 3 times. So we can think about 80,000 pieces per hour could be picked. And for that warehouse, we deal around 50,000 order lines per hour, per days. And the end users is very special e-commerce. And nowadays, the project is already go live, and it's well covered the business of them in totally UK. And this project is the first big project for us for high robotics in Europe. And it's also available to be visited. So we invite all the guys who could be interesting. Let me know. We can be there and go with you to see the new goods-to-person solutions. Thanks.
Can you reveal the name of this UK customer, or am I being rude asking that? Oh
no, this customer and the customer is JD, which is a Chinese customer, but they have a warehouse. And Helden mentioned about Ingvar, and we work with Ingvar as well.
Okay. Market. Thank you for that, William. I'm sorry
Thank you.
With that. Rude, over to you now.
Thank you, Paul. Well, instead of just picking out one case, I maybe shortly want to explain a bit about the types of projects we are facing, because I see that changing. We used to install a lot of picking solutions where people go from paper picking to, let's say, technology picking, pick to light in our case, pick and put to light. And we still do that quite a lot, but I see another type of projects increasing quite a bit. And that could be upgrading of the picking technology. So companies are not picking with paper, but they are picking with RF terminals or maybe with voice terminals, and they're upgrading that to pick to light for the specific operations where that's useful for. So that's a type of project we see increasing. Another type is customers are already using pick to light technology, but they are increasing, they are adding additional equipment to it. For instance, like conveyors. If you see a system like this, they already using pick to light in my background, but also intelligent conveyors in the middle to guide and to reduce walking and bring the right totes and cartons to the right picking zones. We see that also more and more. Sometimes also they used to use other pick to light technology from another supplier, but because we can add the system integration part to it, they're stepping over to us. So we see that more and more and more. By the way, this picture in the background is at Holland & Barrett. Paul, you were asking about a UK reference, so I think everybody in the UK knows Holland & Barrett. And the last project is expanding operations, and in particular also for e-commerce. They particularly the past 1.5 years, also driven by COVID-19. E-commerce is going sky high, and systems really need to be expanded just to handle the volume. So we need to make them bigger, more intelligent, and so on, to reach capacity which is needed. So that's let's say 3 different types of projects besides the traditional projects implementing picking technology where companies used to pick on paper.
Thank you, Reid. I mean, the breadth of the technologies that all all of your companies employ is dazzling, really, and it just shows the nature of the task and the challenge that your customers do ask of you. So on that note, thank you very much. I hope to our audience you've enjoyed our Intralogistics projects panel. Please do keep your questions coming on the chat facility. So meanwhile, thanks to Ruud, William, Hilton and George, and I look forward to seeing you out in the world in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you.